Hello, everybody, and welcome for another fantastic session in a masterclass. Just before we're going into the Easter mode, we're going to talk about all things cloud coding, co-working, and so on and so forth. And so with me today, I have a fantastic guest, Hlib Storchak. He's going to introduce himself in a bit, but before we're going to go into that, we will wait for folks kind of to tune in. We have, I believe, for this session registered like 600, 700 people across YouTube, X, LinkedIn. Majority of folks are coming from LinkedIn naturally. But yeah, it's cool, really cool to see such a turnout just before kind of going to the Easter mode.
Yeah.
Thanks for Hlib coming in. So if anybody, whoever is joining right now, please do say in the comment section below where you're tuning in from. What is your title, as in what the hell do you do? And what is your maybe number one challenge with Claude if you're already using that, whether using the Claude Code or Cowork, if you have any challenges with that, if you're not using it, why you're not using it, and what you're trying maybe to get out of this. So we're going to try and naturally take a bunch of questions at the end. Hlib has also prepared for us some good stuff that we're going to go over to inspire you to do a lot more with Claude. And whatever questions you have, whether these are newbie questions, intermediate or hardcore questions for Hlib is ready to take it on. So he's not the guy that shies away from hard questions.
For sure.
Feel free to leave everything in the chat below. So quick intro. So Frank Sondors, I run a company called Salesforge. We help companies to build pipe through cold email, LinkedIn, whether you want to do that as a human or AI agent. And that's really all I want to say. Pipe building across cold email, LinkedIn is what we specialize in. If you got any questions on that, let me know later on. But otherwise, over to you, Hlib.
Yeah, so hello everybody who is joining us today on this really nice session about Claude Code. My name is Hlib Storchak. I'm working as the GTM lead at the company called Strongest Group. We are based out of Finland, but right now we are getting a lot of international people. And basically what we do, we build GTM systems for B2B businesses. So whoever wants to go, let's say, abroad, whether it's from, Finland to Europe or US, or from US to Europe, or all over the world, we can pretty much do it. We are not, let's say, shy to use cold calling, but also we are now pretty strong on, let's say, cold email, LinkedIn, and all of those cool automations. Hence, I'm really grateful for this chance today to talk with Frank and show you guys how we are building stuff right now for our clients.
Fantastic. Hello everybody. So again, just to recap, everybody who's joining in right now, wherever you're tuning in from the world, whether you're tuning in from YouTube, LinkedIn, or X, please do pop in the comments below where you're tuning in from, what do you do, whether you try cloud coding or co-working, etc. If not, totally fine. Do say that. And if you have any questions already right now, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and we will take a bunch of questions. We have a ton of content prepared for you, a lot of good stuff, but feel free to ram us with questions, whatever questions you have. Now, maybe let's start with the first one, with a very simple question. When was the first time that you started using Claude?
I would say Claude in general has been pretty popular, I would say, among our people in the GTM for the past at least a year. Especially it was good because of the copywriting. So compared to ChatGPT, for example, it's absolutely like demolishing ChatGPT, and we used it pretty a lot for crafting the copy. But surprisingly for me, Claude started pumping out some really cool updates, and there was no chance I could ignore it,
Is it specifically because you can just execute a lot of the stuff with Claude Code, or what were the key kind of areas? What made you use Claude Code today?
I would say both both of the Claude Code and also the pilot one, which allows you to like co-work, right? Which allows you to execute on the tasks with your help on your computer locally. I would say both of those things are really valuable, and we've been pushing it a lot. First of all, for ourselves, so we were like lab rats. We were testing things out on ourselves. And once we figure out that it works pretty well for our own sales, we started offering it for our clients as well.
Gotcha. So you started internally to use it, and then you expanded and started to offer, building stuff for your clients, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Can you give us just a few examples? Maybe what is the stuff maybe you built for your customers?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll share the presentation, of course. I'll start going through it, but basically there are a couple of things which we have built. should I open the presentation now, Frank? Or
maybe let's just dive immediately into this. Yeah, Dan's asking a question right now in the chat. Will this be recorded? Yes, guys, this will be recorded. But you do want to stay along because this is the moment when you can actually ask questions live. Hlib is a very busy man. So let's go through the content then, and I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions along the way.
Yeah.
So guys, once you're gonna, again, just a final recap or final sort of notice, everything that you're gonna see immediately. If you have a question, don't wait, put it in the chat, and we will take all the questions at the end. Let's go there.
Awesome. So the main idea of the use cases which I wanted to show today, and they align pretty well with the question I just had. So basically, we want to scale the revenue. We want to scale the efficiency of the company and eliminate manual work. So basically, our goal is to power up our sales, power up our fulfillment for the clients without writing a single line of code, or let's say without knowing how to write code. So that's the whole idea. And there are a couple of things which we want to discuss today. However, the biggest problem today among salespeople is that sales teams lose a lot of time. And they lose a lot of time on a couple of different things. The first one, of course, is the manual research. I still see among our clients, a lot of the sales reps, they are doing the research manually. Even though they have AI tools, they don't know how to leverage them correctly. Hence, the research part is still, I would say, semi-manual. Then, of course, the messy data, they don't have, let's say, the correct automation or way to classify their data. So you're pretty much flying around the tabs. You copy-paste info between CRM sheets and Slack. As a result, they lose revenue, of course, because they don't have a system, for example, to follow up with warm leads. They don't have any sort of reminder set up and the system where they can keep the warm leads in the loop the whole time. Of course, admin work adds up a lot, updating roles, updating stuff, very important that people don't spend, let's say, hours per day doing that. And some of the things are really hard to fix without hiring a developer who could build custom tools. However, currently, you can do it via Claude Code and Claude Cowork. So we have built 4 workflows to fix all of those issues. And before we dive into those particular workflows, it is important to mention what's the difference between Claude Code and Claude Cowork. So basically, I don't know how well-educated our audience is, but I'm sure all of you guys are curious about the tools. Hence, it's important still to mention what Claude Code is. It's basically the AI coding agent, which can write code for you in plain English. So you just ask it to do things, to build things, and it builds for you without you needing to type in any sort of code. It completely eliminates the development team. I would say for the majority of use cases you want to do in the GTM, you don't really need developers. And Claude Cowork is more of like a desktop AI agent. Basically, you give it access to your laptop or let's say a workspace, and it can run your CRM, Slack, Gmail, calendar on set schedule. It can go through the files, it can analyze them and execute on set schedule or based on some particular conditions. And for today's workflows, we are going through 2 which are powered by Claude Code and 2 which are powered by Claude Cowork. And we can start with pre-call research straight away, I believe.
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah. Guys, any questions you have, feel free to ask away.
Yeah. So for pre-call research, the old way of doing things, it was just like, open a bunch of tabs, a bunch of tools to look at the company. You check their LinkedIn, you check their website, Crunchbase, maybe you go to some reviews page like G2. And still the problem is that you don't have a structured discovery. You don't know what to focus during your discovery call, and you don't know how to sort of connect your solution with the problems which you were able to identify during the research, meaning that you spend 45 minutes or 30 minutes, doesn't matter, and you're still unsure how to run the call properly. And for this purpose, for our sales team, we have built the Sales Intel app. So basically, the idea is to enter a domain of the company, and straight away we run 3 different research agents to kind of power up your discovery call. Basically, the first one is doing the company research. It looks through the revenue, key decision makers, hiring signals, tech stack. The second agent is going through the market. So we are looking at their top, I would say even 5 competitors. We take a look at the industry trends, like what's popping nowadays in, I don't know, e-com, for example. We go through the recent news and growth trajectory. And the third one is more about discovery strategy. So if you feed the agent the intel about your company and what you are doing, you're able to connect the results from agent 1 and agent 2 with agent 3. And basically, as a result, you get 1-page discovery brief, which is straight away goes to your sales team, to the Slack. It's being pushed, and under 2 minutes, they get everything they need for the discovery call. And we, of course, have it, let's say, as the inside process, so it's all inside Slack. But I have quickly built in Claude Code, I would say, in 1 hour, an app where you can type in the domain, and it identifies all of the data points which are important for the discovery call. As you can see, we have like company intel, tech stack, revenue signals, etc. Then we have discovery questions, and it's all packed beautifully into 1 document. And so the person who is on the call can take a look at those questions, and when the right moment kicks in, he or she can ask those questions. And I would say it increases the chances of conversion pretty much. So if you come well equipped for the call, works like magic.
So that's all that is happening in Slack, right?
Yeah, it happens in Slack. I just built, let's say, this quick app. Maybe I should host it on the, let's say, some domain so people can test it out. But it's simple as just typing in the domain of the company. You wait for 2 minutes, and you get company facts, market data, and you can straight away do the discovery. Yeah.
We do something similar automatically when we just book a meeting in Slack. So we have a Slack notification popping from HubSpot, and then immediately, like I think within like a minute or so, we have something similar that goes into the thread in Slack, and then it essentially gives notes for the person in terms of the company, kind of similar stuff, right? So, and what we could sell them, right? Especially important when you have either complex solution, multiple products, and stuff like that. So
Awesome. Yeah. So I think it's a very powerful use case. What you just need to do is to make sure you feed the right sort of data about your company. If you can fine tune it, I would say it works like magic. Yeah. So that's about the first use case. The second use case, it's something I would say it's one of our secret sauces, which I want to show on this webinar, is event outbound. A lot of companies nowadays are trying to be more present in real life. They go to a bunch of events, and I'm sure Frank himself, he goes to a bunch of events. I started going to a bunch of different events, especially clay clubs. And of course, you want to connect people. You want to find synergies and see if there is a way to make some business and kind of make sure that the trip was worth it. And before, let's say, in even 2025, the manual process was something like you check the event website, you try to maybe, screenshot the attendee pages, you then type names into the spreadsheet, then you search each person on LinkedIn, you copy-paste their emails, and you manually enrich the data. Or you could also, for example, try and find a scraper who will do it for you. But then, again, you need to make sure to make the quality check that it's all done correctly. You could also go to Apify and see if there is a Apify scraper for this particular event, but there is no guarantee that you would get really nice results, outputs out of it. And if you do it manually, even for small conferences like 200 people who are within your ICP, you would still lose 4 to 6 hours per event, which is too much. And hence, from what I've seen, a lot of companies are just ignoring the fact that they are able to scrape the attendees and book the meetings through cold email, pretty much. And so what we have done is we have integrated Fark role into the Claude Code. And it is able by just, again, me typing out a couple of words about how I want the data to be structured. It is able to talk with Firecrawl and go into almost every website which is on the web and scrape all of the people who are attending or exhibitors. And as the result, I get a clean CSV file with the names, titles, and companies.
But how do you how do you go about the credentials? So let's say last week me and you were both right at an event, and there was an app umbrella. But to get the access to attendees, what does Claude use my login data for the app, or how would that work?
Yeah, it depends. So some of the platforms, they just give away the attendees lists, which is the best use case. But if you're attending an event, for example, you pay for it. I would say 99% chance you're getting some sort of login info to matchmaking platform or some sort of web app. I feel like that's the case for the majority of events. And then you are able to give these credentials to Claude Code. It is able to log in, do the logic, and scrape the information for you.
Gotcha. So you don't see some security hurdles with that, as in, that it will ask for my, 2FA or whatever, I don't know, verification or anything like that?
Yeah, valid question. But so far, we've scraped, I would say, around 10 different events for 10 different clients. And I would say worked pretty well.
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
And so you take this CSV file. You can, of course, then enrich it, for example, in Clay. You enrich for emails, for LinkedIn profiles, for phone data, and then just write a really simple copy saying something like, hey, John, I'm saw that you are attending this event. I'm going there as well. Here's what we do. Would you love to maybe connect, or could I stop by your booth and have a chat?
And I know another actually example there. So there may be, let's say, an expensive event. Let's say it costs $500 or $1,000, and you're not really sure should I attend or not. So again, one of the, maybe there's another way to extract that data, but like I know other people where they would say, hey, there's this event in town and I'm thinking to fly in. Are you actually in town or not? And you want to reach out to a lot of people. And if enough people are going to say, yes, I would love to meet, like at least 10, 20 people, then you actually fly in. I've seen that being a thing as well. Like you validate, are there going to be enough meetings essentially, before you decide to purchase that ticket. So just got a probably different way to do this.
Of course.
I bet there's a lot of work for the same, right? But it's like, I guess, there's a lot of people like, I'm not sure whether I should be, fly in or not. There's a lot of people like that, right? Because gazillions of events, but of course, many of them are very expensive. So like one example would be like SaaStr in San Francisco, right now, right? It's very far away. The ticket's going to cost me probably $1,000 just to fly in there and back.
Yeah.
The SaaStr tickets will be, again, another $1,000, so at least $2,000, and the hotel another $1,000, whatever. Suddenly you have to pay $3,000 to go to SaaStr, right, San Francisco. But I'm not sure whether I should. I'm not sure who's coming even. So like that's not a kind of use case. I'm sort of thinking. I bet Claude Code could solve that as well. So
yeah. It's pretty cool. Also, for some clients, for example, I mean, it's not about scraping, but still they gave us the list of attendees from the past events, for example, something which happened 2 weeks ago. And then we could find just a nice excuse of, hey, we're overbooked. I didn't have time to talk to you. And you can still book some calls from it.
Yeah.
Also some free hack. But basically, as you can see, we've got this list of the attendees for the ecom conference. And we send them emails for like 2 days, got 5 meetings booked easily. And it was all done in like 30 minutes. While the lists were scraping, I just came up with the simple copy. I sent it over, got 5 meetings, and the client was happy about it.
Nice.
So that's pretty nice use case in my opinion. You don't need to know how to go inside the website's code and everything. You can just trust Claude Code and, for example, Firecrawl to figure out how to extract the data, and pretty easily it can do it for you. So
maybe one question to you on the events, right? So let's say I'm a CEO or like important person in the company that is looking to fly in somewhere, like say London, right, or some other city, and I have my LinkedIn network, right? So have you seen examples where the person would hook up their LinkedIn network or first degree connections, and then maybe would reach out to the relevant ones? Have you dabbled into something like that? Because that's how I think about it, right? So I'm flying somewhere, and I know some people in the space. They're most likely on LinkedIn. We're connected, or maybe not. I don't know. But you're leveraging the LinkedIn data to see maybe with the right people attend. Like, have you done anything like that, or not really?
I haven't, but that's a great idea, and I believe either if you have the sales nav or like a premium subscription or something, there is a way you could download, let's say, a list of your connections. But yeah, that's a cool idea as well to do.
That's why I just think with you, because I have like 36,000 connections amassed over the last 15 years. So I know somebody in some space, right? So the only dilemma is just is that an ICP, right? So and I only want to meet ICP, so meaning ideal customers, in a particular location rather than just anybody, right? So
definitely. I mean, after some years, you amass a big network and you want to leverage it as much as possible. Awesome. Then the next two things I wanted to show you, they will be more connected to Claude Cowork, so the autonomous AI agent, which we talked about. And for example, one of the really nice use cases, which wasn't even created by me, but by our co-founder at Strongest Group, Tommy, is the biggest problem is you don't follow up enough with the hot leads. You had conversations, maybe you agreed on some next steps, for example, in 2 weeks. Then 2 weeks pass by and you just forget that you had this, let's say, promise you made to this client. So the warm lead enters, they're getting called in the next 2 weeks, and then they just pretty much die out because you don't have a system where you get notifications that, hey, Hlib, you have to kind of call these prospects or try to talk to them. They were pretty hot. And there is zero visibility of who has been quiet, who you might need to poke this particular day. And we have come up with agent using Cowork, which sends us daily hot leads to Slack. So you give access to your CRM, so where you have the full database of all of your leads, all of your deals. It scans through your pipeline to figure out who was the hottest lead in one particular time frame. For example, the last 30 days, it can access the transcripts of the calls because this data is all attributed to a particular lead. And then we let AI judge and prioritize top 15 hottest leads which need attention today. And then straight away, they are being sent every morning to Slack. And the person who is responsible for sales is able to execute on those leads.
Nice.
And if I show you what it looks like, it looks something like this. I just blurred out the names of the leads. But as you can see, every day you get top 15 ICP leads from your CRM. You can see when you talk to them, what sort of industry they are in, and more data about them. So when you click the company name, you go straight into the HubSpot. You can see the contact detail, like info of the people you talk to, and straight away you just pick up the phone, you call them, and
gotcha. Well, how about what's the fire emoji there? Like, is that somebody that you want to follow up, or what is that?
Yeah, those are pretty much the hottest. As we are, I would say, 90% Finnish company, and there are some things I don't understand myself, but but when I was
company you want to be calling.
yeah. But Tommy, like 2 weeks ago, I was in Helsinki in the office, and Tommy showed me this one, and there was no chance I would not want to show it on today's webinar. I think it's also a pretty nice way to power up your salespeople. If you
the way that I do it, maybe let's go the old school way of using NA10. So NA10 is a workflow builder, for those of you that don't know, is if there's essentially no deal closed, let's say after we had a demo meeting with here at Salesforge, then we would automatically like fire off an email. It's automatic, like after 2 weeks, which would just try and check in with the customer. It's a rules based essentially, right?
Nice.
So here you're using an agentic sort of, we're scouting, or we're sort of scanning, what has happened in the past, which conversations are hot, and maybe we should engage, right? And the human makes a decision what to do next. And that's because, the volumes here are low. We do over 500 demos a month, and we need to kind of make it maybe a bit more rules-based because you're just firing off just like, it's like a check-in, I guess. And works pretty well. And then naturally, I guess, when you do a lot more volume, you could potentially, instead of humans calling it up, an agent deciding maybe whether it's worthwhile calling, right? And then the agent would call up and say, hey, this is an assistant of Tommy, whatever. I saw that you spoke, a couple of weeks ago. I was wondering, whether it would be worthwhile reconnecting. And then you don't need the person actually to follow up. It will just automatically just kind of check in. That's how I would probably spice things here up, because you already have the context, right? Yes, you have ping,
of course.
and why not? Unless there's some reasons not to execute the agent, like you probably already have a consent to call, unless you don't have a number, right? And then you can call and just kind of, it could be like an assistant. I think that's how I would probably double down on this. But this is really cool. I like it.
I agree. I agree with you.
I wish I had a kind of little digest, every day in the Slack. Frank, these are the top 20 leads to close. Like, oh, let's go,
I agree, Frank. But I think for you, it would be probably top 1,000 leads per day.
Yeah, it's too many.
With the volume you run, that's...
Yes, yeah.
There are levels to this game, as we say.
I love this one, so yeah.
Yeah.
And guys, please keep the questions coming. We will take them at the end. Don't worry, we have not ignored you. We just want to get through all the good stuff. But as you see all the good stuff that Hlib's presented you, feel free to put them into the comment section. We will take the questions at the end and even more. So yeah, let's go.
Sure. And the last thing is the post-call admin workflow. After each call your account executive has, there are a couple of tasks which he or she has to do, which is open CRM, update fields, write maybe meeting notes, draft email follow-up, and list some action items. And if it takes you even not 45, let's say 30 minutes for 5 calls per day, that's you can count yourself. It's 2.5 hours per day just wasted on doing the admin tasks. And quite often this is half of not your day, but let's say your most productive, your peak hours when you're having the top energy. So why would you waste it doing the admin stuff when you can just, again, create the automation, which will first take the transcript of the call. The Cowork agent will analyze it and extract key data, match it to the CRM, and generate drafts. So it will automatically, based on some rules, update the CRM, make some notes, draft the email, which you just have to kind of approve of. You just say, okay, that's nice. Maybe make one change and fire it off within 2 minutes. And also it creates the action items for you in the future. And then it can reference nice back to our previous workflow. And so the result would be, instead of you manually doing all of the data stuff, it's all being done automatically. You kind of have your second brain. You don't have to think about sending all of those emails. Your accounts are taken care of, and you can just focus on closing instead of typing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I assume you have a lot of different types of conversations where this is very useful. In my case, I would have probably less of a need for this, because I typically find that we talk about the same stuff, that people need to buy some domains, some email accounts, etc. So the follow-ups are in my case, very static. I just send them some information. This is what the next steps to do. It's there's not much of a change. It doesn't matter whether you are big business, small business, etc. The way you send cold emails, the way you do LinkedIn is very much in a similar way, right? Because we as a software vendor, we don't do strategy. You do strategy. So
of course,
you need to do a lot of kind of custom follow-ups, where you want to use this sort of thing, because every customer is different, especially in your case. Whereas for me, it's slightly different. Every customer, it doesn't matter who you are, but the conversations are very similar, right? They need pipeline, they need software, and they said this is the software, and then you follow up, right? So awesome. Makes sense. Cool. Did you have another bit, or this was the final one?
The last bit is something which is of course, you can see how much time and money and everything you save from having those workflows in place. So you make sure your leads are not leaking. 10 times less expensive to scrape all of the attendees. Research takes 2 minutes and 30 minutes, and close, let's say post-call automation, again, 2 minutes, and it's all done. So you focus on doing the sales and not doing the busy work. However, the last bit which I wanted to show you is something I personally am super excited about, as being the certified expert and partner at Salesforge. You can see my cap here as well. I've wore it specifically for this webinar. But basically, we use now released MCP by Salesforge, which allows us to automate a lot of our fulfillment. And I would say if you are a company doing outbound yourself, if you are on Salesforge, you will find it very useful as well. So just to quickly explain you, before, in order, for example, to launch the campaign, what you had to do, you add your leads. First of all, you upload the CSV, you make sure all the fields are matching. Then you draft the campaign, you do the spin tags to make sure you have top deliverability. You add sending accounts. Also, you can, for example, enable a warm-up process for those accounts. And in general, you paste your data manually. But right now, when you have the MCP, you have, I believe, 48 or something different apps or tasks which you can execute by leveraging the MCP. You just type into the terminal, you ask Claude to do X, it checks the tools, and then it executes on the data. And this means that right now, instead of me clicking the buttons manually, sitting like a maniac, Claude Code does the stuff for me, so I can set up the sending infrastructure for the clients almost automatically. I just sent the onboarding form where the client talks about their sending infrastructure, what sort of sending names, profile pictures they want to use. I ship it to Claude Code, then it talks with InfraForge, with PrimeForge, and it sets it up nicely. Then I can, of course, launch the outreach campaigns, pretty much everything starting from drafting campaigns, doing the spin tags, adding leads. It's all being done automatically. And we can also do the infrastructure checkups through the WarmForge. So every day at 9 a.m. before I start my work, I get the notification in Slack whether all of the accounts are in healthy conditions, if we need to rotate some infrastructure or not. Super useful, making sure nothing is being burnt and I can use the infrastructure for as long as possible. And the last part, of course, is the building the lead list through the LeadsForge, also very useful. And everything you do is in one context window. So you just fire up the questions and Claude Code talks with the Salesforge or the forges and executes everything pretty nicely.
And you could become the blacksmith yourself.
Yeah.
True. Forge your pipeline away, right? So yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a recent release, right? Because everybody's dabbling into Claude, so it kind of made sense, right? So simplify. So apart from using the app, the API, now suddenly you can use Claude, and I mean that's where the world is headed, right? So you suddenly don't need necessarily to be in the interface or in the app all day long if you don't like the design of the app or whatever that is. Awesome. This is really epic. It's really cool. So yeah, and you is this the last bit right now?
Yeah, this is the last bit. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, Hlib, how can people find you just generally if they want to follow up on any of these slides? I think you had the last little bit, right, that you wanted to share.
Yeah. I just created it like a simple slide. You can just scan QR code from your laptop. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Maybe you want to shoot a question. You can find me on YouTube as well. I try to post at least twice per week. Not every week it is doable, but still, I do a lot of workflow breakdowns and really useful stuff about how to use AI agents and for GTM. And also, maybe you just want straight up to have a closer chat about building such systems for your business, or in general, you can book a call with our team. I'll also make sure to join, and we can have a nice talk.
Nice. Awesome. So we have a bunch of questions here. Guys, feel free to make it, ask more questions if you have to. I'm just reviewing all the questions that we have here. I think let's start with the first question that we have from Gaurav. Gaurav is asking about the first workflow in particular. I think it was about the events, right? So, but first of all, if multiple SDRs are using it, I guess multiple users, right? So we have kind of a similar, I guess, dilemma. There's many people using it, although trying to use it. We actually think about security kind of maybe a bit. Maybe if you can touch on that as well later. But will we run the risk of utilizing tokens quickly, considering Claude token usage right now is a concern?
Yeah, good question. And I don't have, let's say, a 100% correct answer because there is none. What I would say is you want to deploy all of those systems on lower scale. So you give yourself enough room to kind of build things and break them at the same time. And my best advice would be, once, let's say, you made this work for a couple of people, then you can scale across your whole organization. And of course, you'll have to, let's say, up your Claude subscription, your license. But you can also always start with the personal one, and you can max out the plan for $40 or something. Once it's working nicely, you can scale it across the whole company.
Gotcha. But I mean, would you give it to many people in the company, like, or would you rather have only one person dabbling in all those systems? From your experience,
I would probably start with one person, and then I would scale it across everyone. But to, let's say, orchestrate and take care of the system, you need just one person. And we have this person, for example, in our company, who is building all of those things.
So maybe on the security is something I touched upon, right? So imagine an employee, right? So it's not you, right? But like we have some other employee and they just want to dabble into code, in Claude, sorry. And so there's one employee that we have also here in our office, and he says, "Oh, can I just use the HubSpot data?" And somebody accessing your data and does something with it, and data leakage, etc. And I bet a lot of companies think about it, right? Also in your context, right? You work with a lot of enterprise companies, around the world. How do these conversations go? Like, are they concerned about, security and data leakage and all of that?
Yes, we are all concerned. Again, that's valid concern. You want to make sure the data is safe. For the processes where we need, there is like no chance it can get leaked. I would say where we're 99% sure, we give it the full access. However, for the, let's say, more experiment style, we have separate laptops in our company, for example.
Gotcha.
And we have installed only a couple of apps on base of which we want to build the workflow. And if it works and we see it's all good, then we give access to different people. But yeah, be aware of it for sure.
Because you did mention, let's say, the notes, right, from meetings. That's kind of, you can classify that as somewhat sensitive. But there's a bunch of other sensitive data that could be in HubSpot or Salesforce. That's something that comes to my mind where, the person who doesn't typically, who's not even in RevOps, doesn't do any GTM engineering, nothing like that. They want to have access to the systems. So you're an account exec, SDR, whatever, right? And you just want to do some cold calling. I have nothing against that, but what I'm thinking about is securing the data of the company, where there may be these what I call oopsies. Oopsie, how much revenue we're making, etc., and many other things, right? So, and so you that's kind of back of my mind, as a CEO, right? Because
of course.
Claude coding is something new, and that's just something I'm thinking of as well. Cool. All right, let's go to the next question. We've got a question from Chris. Interesting. So I never considered doing event scraping. I recently did a project with about 140,000 Google businesses, and then getting emails from websites around 150K emails. I mean, that's something that you can also do, right? Just scrape Google Maps and then email addresses, and then also reach out to businesses, right? So.
Of course, you can use the scraper, which is the cheapest and most streamlined, called serper.dev, specifically for Google. I would recommend it. You can choose between places, maps, or just do like simple Google search queries. But yeah, that's also one way of using it.
Makes sense. Excellent. Next one is from Veronica. How do you have Claude leave notes for you in HubSpot and make sure they're relevant? Give a health score maybe for your call, and then suggest next steps or improvement areas, and how you can get it to show you what are all the tasks you would have to complete in order to prioritize, let's say, HubSpot and Lemlist.
Yeah, great question. I would say it all depends on how good you are at building the skill base and knowledge base. That's why for the very beginning of the let's say process, we want to create this Claude MD document and just give it as much intel as possible, and give it very strict rules on how it should act when it gets some sort of data. Hence, I think how to make sure you get correct outputs, you just give it correct input. So if you build up the knowledge base in the right way, you give it the correct instructions, correct scoring criteria, you should get nice results 99% of the cases.
Cool. Let's move next one again from Gaurav. For flow 4, do we need to connect an enablement tool like Gong to do this? Because I think Gong does have an existing follow-up automation. I mean, internally we use Fathom, but do you something like that, like to?
Yeah, you could. I mean, your stack in each company it's different, but as long as they have API documentation and they allow you to kind of connect their website or tool with the other tools, should be not a problem.
Yeah, makes sense. I know that's something that's trending right now in the market. At least what I'm hearing from peers is that Granola is a tool that's trending a fair bit. I haven't checked it out myself, but a lot of people are raving about it, and they're growing like crazy themselves.
Awesome.
Alrighty. For this scenario, what if the SDR manager and ops team keeps just ops team keeps and just forwards it once the research is done to the CRM of the SDRs?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it refers to. Maybe Gaurav, you can just follow up on that. I think it just refers about the first part, which is about actually research. I think that's what it refers to. But yeah, cool. Guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to put them in. In the chat box below. Or Gaurav, if you want to follow up on your questions, if I didn't answer or we didn't answer. Otherwise, yeah. So security we did cover, Claude Code we did cover, and Cowork as well. Is this something that you guys are looking to build then, next, this quarter already, Q2 coming up? Is this something that's on your horizon that's painful for you guys, and then you're looking to solve that through Claude Code?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things which we are actively building. We also have our RevOps person, Yona. He is our wizard. I'm not even the best guy in this. I'm just following what he's doing. So we try to leverage Claude Code. We try to leverage OpenClaw as well. We just run them on separate laptops, as I mentioned, for the security reasons. But yeah, we want to kind of reduce our costs, reduce the time of like manual work. And yeah, we are actively building all of those workflows, and we start offering this to clients as well, because we see one part of the equation is to get them interested responses, even book them the meetings, but then everything which comes after the meeting or during the meeting is very painful still for a lot of companies. And so if we can become sort of partner which solves, let's say, the whole equation, the whole problem, I think we add much more value to each of our customers.
So we're rolling out Claude actually this month across the whole company, but not every employee. We're going to use it. But I think the way that I think about de-risking, right, is by not necessarily having access to necessarily to the, let's call it the critical systems or the sensitive systems. So an example of that would be a Webflow, right? So Webflow is a CMS, right? So for the website. And so I'm thinking initially, like, what is the stuff that, I could, run, Claude at 100x or whatever. And that is, for me, that is content, right? So if there's any programmatic content or anything that essentially I could build out on the side, that's where I'm thinking to use it initially. So question to you, I guess, Hlib, have you thought about using then Claude a lot more on your side to build out maybe tools? So what I'm seeing actually a lot in this space is people use to build out these free tools, essentially some tools that provide a ton of value, and that could be quickly built literally in an hour or two, put it on the side, and that drives a lot of leads, a lot of attention, and a lot of revenue for the companies.
Yeah, I think it's, again, something which we try to do as well. For example, what I like on your website, if you scroll down a bit, you can get your free, let's say, like GTM audit, pretty much. And I believe it's also more or less programmatic. And probably back in the times, it wasn't built by Claude Code, but now you can definitely do it via Claude Code.
You can, guys, go check it out, replicate it, and plug it into your own site. But yeah, exactly. You just need to enter your email address. We check out exactly what you do. So you can just go to our homepage, scroll down, and you'll see this called Outbound Strategy Plan. And it will give you literally just a baseline strategy in terms of what we think you should do, what sort of domains you should buy, and so on and so forth. I think I can't remember how we built it because I wasn't the guy that was building it. But we definitely used NA10. We used some AI, etc. But today with Claude Code and everything that you've got there, you can just replicate my stuff, and you can just go and plug that into your site, and again build something on your site where a user is willing to give you their email address, and they get some value in return, right?
Exactly.
So we build a lot of lead magnets. The other examples would be that works really well on our site is get a quote. So let's say if you have like complex pricing or like usage-based pricing, or you just need a quote, whatever, how much is it going to cost me if I'm going to, use this much, this tool or service, then, hey, enter your email and it's going to be sent, right? And I think you can build that out as well. The other thing that we do is like send me the case study. So you're looking at a case study, or looking at, oh, this is cool. I need a case study to forward to my manager, whatever. So we do that as well. And then the other example would be where this could also work. So we have this agent called Agent Frank, named after me.
Yeah.
You're looking at the tool and you're like wondering, how does it work? How good is the copy? So you can again enter your email address and your LinkedIn profile, and we can send you a unique email based on what we know about you and your context out there, in on the web. And again, you're giving us your email address, you're giving us LinkedIn URL, and again, that's something that could be wipe coded as well today. But essentially, the way I think about it is there's a bunch of different tools that you could build on your site to attract leads, and that will convert, right? So that attention will convert into pipeline. I think other examples I've seen in the space, nothing to do with our website, but for example, let's say you want to find similar companies, right? So let's say I don't know, this customer pays you a lot of money, and you're like, damn, I wish I would find more similar companies, right, like this. So there's a big thing, lookalikes, so you can build out, or you can take like a lookalike API, build a tool, just enter the your domain or your customer's domain, and you'll get a bunch of similar customers. That's something cool, and I think you can also push that into Slack, I would say, through Claude Code, as in connect HubSpot, connect. So let's say we have close one deal, right? So close one deal goes into HubSpot, and I bet with Claude Code you could go and pick the lookalike API, and you can say, hey, here are other 3 similar customers against this one, and I bet you could also execute like an email, whatever, with Claude Code, like all of that, right? Is that correct?
For sure. Of course, that's correct. Even more so.
So yeah, that's just an example that comes to mind, right? Just randomly kind of thinking of like building tools, leveraging HubSpot. Okay, we want to find more similar customers. Let's feed the reps, let them go after. And if there's a way to execute that, let's go and do that as well. So yeah, Chris is also saying, has been reverse of engineering popular SEO tools. Exactly. This is what you want to do. You want to look at different sites. They probably spent back in their old days, a lot of, man hours on building this, and you just look at the coolest things, maybe not to say that your competitors necessarily have, but it could be just literally in adjacent industry. You're just looking at this like, wow, this is really cool. I would love to replicate it. So you go to Claude Code and say, hey, look at this stuff. Can you replicate this onto my site? And that's it. That's so, because it gives like a reference point, how it has to look like, how it has to work, and it can go check it out and kind of rebuild the logic within your own industry. All right, next question that we've got from an unknown user. We just don't know who the person is, but are you using any ID resolution tools to understand who is coming to your site, and are you using that data as a signal? I mean, yes, there's a bunch of tools out there on the internet that's being mentioned right now. B2B, there's Vector, whatever, Snitcher, etc. In my case, yes, we use that. We also use a waterfall system where we plug in multiple providers. We use Clay's waterfall system right now for specific pages on the website, like pricing page, for example, integrations page. So all the high intent pages, we would extract that information, and we would push that into Slack, and then we would also have a number, and then you can do something with it. I haven't wipe coded anything with that piece of data. But you could, like, have you thought about doing something with the audience? Hlib?
Yeah, I think again, it's a viable option. Might need a bit more, I would say, knowledge on how to do it correctly. But seems like also something you could do. But again, it's a bit more regulated. For example, for European Union, so it's a bit hard.
It's definitely more for the US traffic, yes.
Yeah, but for the US, definitely, I would go for it.
Yes, but yeah, so we like in our case, we do have a mobile number. We can call them, WhatsApp them. Sometimes I just literally would say, hey, I saw that you were on our site. I was wondering whether there's anything I can do to help. And the person that actually wrote me, I think yesterday, oh wow, that's creepy, So you have to know how to do this in an elegant way. But yeah, if there's hot leads, so we also score these leads, right? So we only push hot leads to Slack. And then we enrich them with a mobile number, and then we decide what we want to do. Of course, we can execute something automatically with that data. But currently we do that manually because we only reach out to really good leads, but we don't reach out to everybody necessarily. So, but that's something that's a workflow where you don't necessarily need to use Claude for it, in my opinion, because you can just push that data into Slack and just have it there. Yeah, not necessarily something that you need Claude Code for, but you can use it, of course. All right, guys, if you don't have any other questions for Hlib, rest in peace, I guess. And you can find him on LinkedIn, on YouTube. If you have a specific video that you want him to make, please put it
Absolutely.
down. If there's a kick-ass video that you were like, oh, I wish Hlib would just talk about this nonstop, put it right now in the comments. Hlib will have a look at it after the show. Otherwise, feel free to find him on LinkedIn, on the website strongest.fi, and we shall see you next time. Cheerio.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.